Alright, it's expanded. Okay. Okay. Lower the opacity, bring the background in, and is this going? Oh, I don't see it doing anything. Okay, there we go. There we go. Alright, now let us get to work. Latest comic page, page 48 of Heroes and Legends. Comic number 14 of Dreamscape. Got a nice little Bomberman track playing in the background. Just another day, another page. Oh, what's this? I don't want to do the update now. Okay. Just got the Claw here, walking along. Little break from the tournament before the final match. Actually, I should check to see that the YouTube is working on, well, that it's working on the YouTube end. So let's just take a peek over here. Okay. Okay. Alright. Okay, I think we got that going. Let's redo this. Just a second. Okay, there's that. Copy, copy, copy. Where's the copy? There it is. Copy. Whoa, no, that's not right at all. Okay, there it is. Get this. Oh, get this. There you go. And it's not what I wanted to have happen. Okay, okay. Get rid of this. And Alright, I think that's that. Okay, there we go. Got that all set up. And we're back to the comic. Okay. Well, I am here, and I am working, and I am way too zoomed out. We gotta zoom into 100 at least. Well, not at least. It's always 100 when I'm working at, like, outlining the blacks. After you outline, you fill them in, and then zoom into 200 to make sure you can go over all the white lines that are left afterwards and the spaces that the fill-in bucket does not fill in. I have tried for years to figure out how to get it to fill in all the way automatically, but I have never been able to get that to work. It would save me so much time, but yeah, I'm stuck doing it the old-fashioned way. Not the old-fashioned way. That was a nightmare back then. No tablet to work with, just free select everything by hand with the mouse, and then fill in everything that's free selected. That took like half a day usually to do that. But now I've chopped it down to more like 4 or 3 hours with the tablet and stylus. Yeah, we just got the Claw walking along the outskirts of, what's it called? Tataki Fight Island. It's, where the tournaments are being held, the shadow tournaments. The island is where it's always been held, even back in our time period, but, it's not the same as it was in our time period. The tournament arena pretty much is, but the island itself, as with all lands in the comics, are quite a bit different from how they were when we were all alive. For those first tuning in now, the comics take place in the 2200s or the 2300s. Always forget which. All that really matters in terms of, like, the timeline for what you need to understand about this comic issue is that it is in the far, far, far future. And by extension, the rest of the comic is also, but this issue does not deal with the specifics of the timeline outside of mentioning warriors that have come before in different eras. That might actually give a better understanding or reminder to me of when exactly the comics take place. Can't remember if I ever, like, mapped out in a document or anything when everything in the timeline takes place, but I always have a general overview in my head, at least. The smooth stroke is on, but the tablet feels a bit laggy in how it's handling the drawing here. Well, not laggy so much as it's not staying consistent with the pressure on the stylus, like line width-wise. I always love Bomberman music. Oh, more specifically, the Bomberman 64 tracks. The normal Bomberman music, the battle music, is catchy, but after a while it gets pretty old hearing the same tune. The same rather simplistic tune, over and over and over and over again. So I am always thankful whenever they have, like, actual different tracks in the Bomberman franchise. At least back during the Hudson Soft days, those people really knew how to make a game, and make a soundtrack, and make an everything. The good companies always go out of business in the end. We've got a little tready robot up here. It's some sort of little trash collecting robot for, like, the tournament, so the island stays clean enough, at least. As with any big festival type event, there is bound to be all sorts of scraps all over the place. Now, just a little robot here. It's not a biobot. It is just a normal robot. In the world of the comics, or I guess in the world, I guess it's even before the comics, there is like a differentiation between the types of robots that exist. And there's, like, by the time of the comics, you have stuff like this, which is like people that have robotic parts on them, like cyborgs and stuff, as just sort of normal. Like, that's just a common thing that you see in that world by that point. But, there's cyborgs, there's normal robots, and there's biobots, which are essentially, like, normal robots just fulfill tasks, and that's it. They don't really have any thought or anything. But biobots are more like people, just people that are metal. So, like, robots that are designed to be like people and make higher functioning decisions, or robots that are not purposefully made as biobots, but that end up acquiring too much experience in, like, free will, and are classified as biobots because they develop a personality and a mentality and agency of themselves. That's sort of the differing factor between robots and biobots. I forget if I called normal robots anything besides just robots. I have, like, a whole sheet that, like, displays what the different types of robot, like, types are. There's also Hagosha bots, which are the robots that guard the ruins of the world the comics take place in. Not all the ruins, but most of them. Hagosha bots are They essentially act as the defense systems for the, like, hyper-advanced ruins of the comic world. And they play they have a pretty substantial place in the lore of the world, but their origins and all that stuff have not really been explored yet in the comics. But it is... They have quite a history in the world the comics take place in. Just a sec, gotta check something. Okay. Hello. There we go. Uh-huh. Okay. Alright. Yeah. It's just... the Claw here is just wandering Tataki Fight Island and in the break before the final match at the tournament. And he's just talking to himself and observing things. Commenting on how things are as he sees it, and just sorta giving some vague comments on things. He hasn't really talked too much throughout the comic yet. He's sort of the mysterious combatant that entered at the last minute for the tournament. But he is in the final match that's coming up, so there'll probably be some talking there. And it will be when he directly interacts with the hero of the comic, Doko Rapilzo. He doesn't know Doko personally, but he has been watching him throughout the tournament. He's been watching everybody, but he's been keeping an eye on Doko, it looks like. And with how the matches have gone in the tournament up to this point, it's he's probably going to be a bit of a tougher fight for Doko. Doko had a bit of a tough time against Opticlops in the match that he had before this final one. But the Claw here has also worked his way through pretty much everyone he's gone up against in the tournament. And he has had an easier time than Doko. Come on. Okay, move the screen. There we go. Now this tablet does not like certain areas that I try to draw on sometimes. I don't know if it's age or if it's just not calibrated correctly, but once I get it positioned into a certain spot, it usually cooperates. Now back in the old days, back in my day, I had to, like, physically... Well, I didn't have to, because I didn't realize that... What I would do is I would physically color in all the blacks of a page, which took forever, and hurt my hand with how hard I'd have to press to try and get the blacks to show up as pure black on the computer when I'd scan it in. And that would usually take like half a day, if not like quarters of a day sometimes, depending on the amount of blacks that I was putting on a page. And then I realized, wait, I don't need to do that, because I can make it completely black on the computer. Which, once I realized that, that shortened the process quite a bit, not physically having to do the blacks anymore. It still takes forever, but not as much of forever. And most, I guess it's fair to say most of my life at this point has been spent at the computer. Because, well, for one, I was born in the age where computers were being used. Once humanity had that, they never, stopped using them, so... Yeah, the first computer I think the first computer I ever used was an old Apple computer, and it had a game called Glypha on it, which was, I didn't know until later, but was a Joust clone, if anyone's ever played that game. Which was the game where you'd ride ostriches and stuff, and knock off opponents off their ostriches. It was like an old Atari game, I think, originally, but it got, translated to every single system there was, as was the style at the time. Yeah, if you had a game back then and it wasn't, utter garbage, it ended up getting on, every system, Frogger, Centipede, all that stuff, you'd find it on the Atari 2600, 5200, ColecoVision, and Television, whatever. And then, it was kind of the Wild West of gaming back then. Then, all the video game stuff in, what was it? 84 happened, the video game crash. Which wasn't really a crash, all over. It was just pretty much America, but it was still, a substantial event. And that's when Nintendo came in and did stuff to try and restructure things and get it more under control. Oh, hey, Shadow. I'm just working on the latest comic page that I realize now I did not put up on Patreon. So I beg your forgiveness, but I kinda doubt that you even knew that. So we're here. How are you doing? I was just going on about the history of how I did this, the whole comic series on the computer originally, with doing the blacks by hand physically, which would take about half a day to do normally, until I realized I didn't need to do that and would just do the blacks on the computer only. But yeah, that took forever, and it went on for years like that. And then I got into the oldest computer I think I ever used, which was the old Apple computers and stuff. And that led into Joust and Atari, and then the video game crash, and that's where we're at. Yeah, I've been doing this for a while. A bit over 11 years now. Look forward to those remakes of the old comics. They will be published at some point around, I'd say probably if things keep going along as they are, which they probably won't. I would want to say a year from now would probably be when I'd publish the first one. We'll see how it goes. I was figuring that I wasn't going to put the remake of the original comics on DeviantArt, I was going to have the pages of that only viewable to, like, a Patreon, like, tier. Because everyone can see the original comics, but, like, the ones, like, I intend to publish the remakes, so it feels more appropriate to have it on Patreon there, and it's sort of like a special edition, not a normal, general audience viewing type of thing. That's how I plan to do that. And here we've got, the Claw. He is going around the outskirts of Tataki Fight Island, just commenting on things in a sort of vague manner, looking off into the distance and looking at how the world is and stuff. Well, I put things on my own website, but I don't got a website. I don't really know how to do that, and do it in a way that would give me money. So I was figuring Patreon was that sort of my website. We'll see how things go. We're not there yet anyway. I hope work is going to be good for you today. I've gotta handle copying some documents for Grandma's lawyer in a bit. Yeah, that's how everything's going today. But I think I was trying to remember while I was recapping stuff when the video game crash was, and I think it was 84. It was mostly an American thing, but it was a big enough event that people usually mention it in the history of video games. Yeah. Yeah, this page got messed up a bit yesterday when I was working on it, because I was drawing this part here in the morning, and I was having breakfast, and I ended up getting some huevos con chorizo right there, and it just splattered all over, and I had to spend, well, not that long, but I had to edit it out on the computer, and it's just always kind of annoying when that happens. I'd have a partner at work back at the factory that would always, without fail, get his food on the pages I was working on. No matter what, he could be on the complete opposite end of the table, and he would somehow find a way to get his food on my work. And he didn't do it intentionally or anything, but it's like every single time. That got a bit old. I did draw him as a character to be used at some point in the comics, but I don't know if he'll appear yet, or when he would appear even. He had this persona he went by called Dr. Wasteland, and he had a DeviantArt, but I don't know if he still does. Yeah, those, the remakes of the original comics. Well, you saw on the Discord the comparison I did between, like, the bottom panel of the first page of the original comic and the same image, but in the new version. Planned for it to have mostly pretty much be a shot-for-shot recreation of the original comics, keep everything consistent, but just make it look better, and maybe make the dialogue not as badly done. Just sharpen things up and stuff. Alright, forgot I put this guy here. Have a little mouse and going to probably write like mouse house, like in some kanji I'll put mouse house or mouse shop or something down here. Just made a little dwelling out of the garbage around the fairgrounds. Well, the comics now are definitely a lot better made than when I first started. The wording is not as, like, cramming as much stuff into word balloons, and the line work is a lot better. The characters are obviously drawn with more construction to them. Not as wiggly wobbly and inconsistent between frames. It still depends on what frames you're looking at for any of the comics, for how the characters are drawn. Sometimes certain frames sometimes certain frames call for the characters to be drawn off model for, like, the sake of humor or something. And sometimes it's just me being garbage at doing the art. That probably happens with, like, any creator at certain spots. There's some perspective angles that can also shift how characters look depending on what angle you're viewing them from and stuff. I really wish I could get the fill bucket to fill in, like, all of this area completely black, and not have all these little white lines along the inside. But I have never, in all my years of working on the comics, been able to figure out how to just get the fill bucket to do that. I always have to go back in afterwards and, like, fill in the the white lines with black by hand. It's not too much of a hassle, but it'd just make things smoother if it'd work how I'd want it to. Don't worry, I do not trust the fill bucket at all in paint programs. In Flash it seems to work pretty great, because normally it fills in things completely in that program. But in, like, normal paint programs, I have never seen it work right whenever I've used it. But with Flash, it'd be, like, impossible to color without it being able to do that. Because, like, all those hundreds of frames of animation, it's just such a godsend that it actually does fill in pretty much everything when you use it there. Again, along the shoreline of Tataki Fight Island here. Fun fact, Tataki in Japanese, I believe, means fight. So the island that the tournaments take place on, Tataki Fight Island, actually just means Fight Island. It's just having it in a different language makes it sound cooler. Yeah, I've named all of the locations in the comics so far. I think all of them have at least some Japanese to the names. And it's like, Chichidango is the place where the Feme Festival happened, the festival for all the girls of Hanprint Island, which is where the first saga took place. It is called Chichidango because Chichidango is a customary dish for girls to have on New Year's. Hanprint is, Han is Japanese, I think, for horn, so it's Hornprint Island. The Gorgoks are the natives of that island, and they have horns, so that's why I call it that. There's the Tri-Hoshi Islands, which is where the Hawker and Stacy come from, and that is, Hoshi means star, Tabi no Hoshi, Kirby of the Stars, or Kirby right back at ya in America. Tri-Hoshi, 3-star islands. Named as such because it is 3 islands. I put more thought into the naming than I probably need to at times, but it makes things sound cooler to give them neat names. And the blending of the different languages helps to show the future and stuff, and how there is pretty much none of our countries left by that point. It's all just sort of mixed together by the comic time period. I use kanji a lot for, like, the writing on, like, buildings and stuff, just because it looks cool. That's pretty much the only mentality to that. But I'll write it in English at times when it's stuff that I feel the audience should be able to understand with, like, without having to get a translator out to, like, look into the intricacies of the backgrounds. We got Red Mountain from Bomberman 64 playing right now. I saw a little poll on Twitter earlier that was asking what the best version of Lola Bunny is. Seemed like a pretty random thing, but I ended up answering the 2011 version, the Looney Tunes show, where they actually bothered to give her a personality. Isn't just the girl of the group. She's still the girl of the group, but she's, like, legitimately insane in that show. Color in the sky, color in the sky, takes forever, color in the sky. Yeah, it actually isn't that bad covering the large areas. It's when you get like things like clothing designs that have multiple black pieces to it, where it becomes more of, oh, I gotta fill in this part, and then this part, and oh, I missed this space, and that just takes forever. But the big areas, it's pretty much just, oh, and fill, and done. It's not usually that bad for the big areas. Let's see. I hope it's not too hot in Florida yet. For us, it seems to switch between hot and cool these days. It was pretty cool for a while out here, but now it's finally picking up towards the heat. Not really hot yet, but it's not as tempting for the snow as it used to be. Oh yeah, that's not that bad for Florida. I've been there in both the winter and the summer, and I cannot stand the summer unless I'm indoors with the air conditioning there. Because fuck that. It's what I really can't stand is the red ants, but that was only one time. And they're all over the country. Was playing with a friend, and the ball we were throwing landed on a red anthill, and I didn't realize that. So when I was coming back after I picked the ball up, I felt this hot burning all over my back. And I took my shirt off, and there were red ants all over my arm and my back, and I had to run into the shower. Yeah, it was a very painful experience. Would not recommend. 0 out of 10 red ant experience. Would not get bit again. Yeah, the claw. He is a very seldom talking type of character. Always got these periods after everything he says. Let's see. Yeah, switch from Bomberman to Mega Man. You can never go wrong with Mega Man when it comes to music. I have beaten this Mega Man game before. Well, the original version of it. And track I have plans from the PSP remake, Maverick Hunter X. It doesn't sound as bombastic as the Super Nintendo version did. Oh, here we go. The big sky scene. Okay, let's get this started. Yeah, at first I was trying to figure out where to put, like, the claw in the, like, background here. But after a while I just realized, like, it's so far zoomed out, like, does it really matter if I show where he is? He's in here somewhere, so whatever. There's all these ships around the island for all the people that have come to watch. I always like when I have the scenes where I get to, like, just make up all sorts of crazy vehicle designs and stuff. Which isn't always the best, because by the point I'm doing that, I'm usually just sort of drained and not, like, focusing as much, so it's not as good of designs at times as what I could do. But I think this all gets the point across. Be easier if... There we go, full opacity. Okay, back down to 50, so I can work again. Well, I guess this is kind of fitting to have this track playing. It's Launch Octopus, who you fight in the ocean, and we have the ocean here. Yeah, this is just sort of giving a look out into the world of the comics that the Claw is looking at. He's talking to himself about, I look around and see these trappings strewn about, and I have to wonder, did you achieve your goals or did it blow up in your face? And who he's talking about, the audience has no idea, but it has to do with, like, his history and his backstory, which has not been dealt with yet. I'm not sure if it ever will become clear who he's talking about in the comics themselves, but people that follow along long enough in the franchise and, like, keep an eye on everything in the franchise should be able to put it together, probably. Yeah, the Claw, his backstory is very intertwined with certain things, and it's kind of important, but kind of not necessary at times. But it has an element of sadness to it, and sort of just things that'll become clearer as the series continues. Yeah, I can't remember. I don't think I always had it planned that the claw would be like, that the claw would show up here. But I think ever since I had like the story for the tournament saga thought out, he was always gonna be a part of it as like the final opponent to be dealt with. You know, back when Doug TenNapel did his streams on the Earthworm Jim comics, he had no problem spoiling literally everything whenever he was working. For me, though, I do have things that I keep more quiet on. It doesn't really matter too much, because I don't think many people watch these videos, but for the few that do, that are into my stuff, it's better to leave certain things unrevealed until the comic themselves present the plot points and stuff. That's how I feel the audience gets the most enjoyment out of it. It's how I would want it to be for me. Yeah, there does seem to be quite a few people now that are joining in on the more intimate side of my stuff. That Discord probably helps a bit in the interactivity part of things. We got you and Digital Elite and handgun, Masasa, few others. Oh, Bowyer. He's not on the Discord much, but he has been there. And he is one that I do commissions for sometimes. Is Conork in there? I don't think I've seen him there. Yeah, hopefully we can get that community built up into our animation empire. Take over every country's animation teams. Distribute everything as it should be. Give the funding to every group that needs it. Bring about the new age of animation for our world. Break down the old system, build it up. Only then can we truly be free as creators. Yeah, the American animation industry is probably Well, it might not be the biggest problem, but it is, like, it's always been the biggest of the, like, noticeable problems in the animation industry. Just their complete and utter disregard for animation over the decades. There's always times where certain groups do bust out and, like, actually do the stuff they should be doing and want to do. But by and large, the industry in America is pretty garbage for animation, always has been. Probably the best eras would be like, well, the starting era is the most experimental. The 60s were pretty great. The 80s were utter garbage. The 90s and early 2000s were incredible. Early 2010s, not great. My Little Pony comes in, gets things jump-started again. Later 2010s are pretty good. And now we got Netflix and all that canceling their cartoons left and right. But as is always the case, indie is always the way to go. If you can manage it. That's always the problem. Like, preferably everything would be indie. It's just that people want money to rely on to fund their stuff, so they end up having or feeling they have to go to other groups to make their stuff. Which ends up getting everything all caught in, like, the red tape and who owns what, and creators getting their stuff taken away from them and all that. Yeah, but it's always a cycle of the creators start making stuff just to make it. Everyone has fun. The executives notice it's making money. Over the next decade or so, they streamline it more and more to what they think will make money, until the industry almost dies because of that, and creators burst out of it and start doing what they want again, and the process starts all over. The endless cycle. My parents say everything goes in a cycle, Eddie. Few more years, we'll be back in style. Alright, I'm gonna switch back over to some Bomberman music. There we go. Now on the Japanese side of things, they have always felt like they've treated their animation with far more respect that it deserves. They give them the... well, they don't always, but they give them better funding. They give them better, like, attention. The projects are not just looked on as, oh, it's animation, it's second fiddle to live action, which is a mentality I have never understood, because live action is just boring to me compared to animation. It can be the most thought out, like, greatest show ever, and I will always... yeah, I probably always will prefer a cartoon version of it, because you can make things more expressive with that. Oh yeah, there's definitely problems with the Japanese industry. It's just that I've always felt they've done better with the animation respect regard. No, there's definitely problems in any country's animation industry. And nowadays, things are a lot more censored, it seems, in, like, anime and stuff. You do not get nearly as much, like, blood and suggestive material in the Japanese market now. Which, you don't need it for everything, but it's just kind of annoying when it's like, nobody does it. And then there's typical lazy animation on both sides. There is some very cheap-looking anime out there. And then there's High Guardian Spice. Yeah, when the Velma show was coming out, or when it started airing, I would see, like, people asking if it's, like, the worst show ever. And I would usually say, yeah, I would watch High Guardian Spice before Velma, because, that at least has Slime Boy in it. And Velma had no redeeming qualities. Yeah, show some fish down here to really emphasize that it's the ocean. I remember the first page 2 comics ago when Doko and his friends were arriving on the island. There was a page that I drew where you can see all the fish below their boat, the shadows of them. And there's one that's just this, like, boat-sized shadow that is swimming beneath the boat and beneath the other fish, which in a horror movie that would be terrifying, but it felt more magical there because it's like a more lighthearted atmosphere. Still probably a bit worrying for people that don't like the water type stuff, but it's more fantastic is what it feels like there. Yeah, I love how chill Slime Boy is. If High Guardian Spice had been a show just about Slime Boy, that would raise the ratings so much. Maybe season 2 if that ever happens. God, don't let it happen. Oh, I remember the other day, I think, was it, I think it was Handgun that was, like, asking what your comic was like and stuff. And, I was it is nice to see all the, like, people interacting in the Discord rather than just focusing on my stuff. Just kind of a pleasant atmosphere. Yeah, it is too bad for, like, the people that work on High Guardian Spice, because they obviously have passion for their show, but once a show is done and it turns out the way it turned out, it's going to be looked at a certain way. I always wish for creators to be able to do what they want, but at the same time, there is the fallout and stuff afterwards that's pretty much inevitable. Now, to be fair, there's a lot of series that are just made up as they go along. Yeah, some of the most famous, Dragon Ball, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Star Wars, no matter what Lucas says, obviously was done as it went along. It all depends on just how well you do it. For Dragon Ball, it just worked out, because, like, things didn't end up contradicting themselves too much. Toriyama was obviously not, like, remembering everything as he made it, but it was made in such a way where it was spaced out enough and the things didn't relate enough, usually, for it to really step on its toes too badly. Because, like, it's very obvious, Frieza's just made up at the end of the Saiyan saga. The alien stuff isn't made up until, like, shortly before the Saiyans show up, things like that. But it's like, okay, there was no real mention of things, and what there was we can write off as this, and let's keep watching. Yeah. But the question remains, did you like it? That's the thing I always have to ask, is like, yeah, you can bitch about how things are done and stuff, like, oh, it follows the same tropes and blah, whatever. Like, did you like it or did you not? Because at the end of the day, that's all that really matters when it comes to viewing it. I think humans in general would be more happy if they just watched pieces and, like, didn't focus on what follows what trend or what goes into what material they deem not appropriate or whatever. But I know that's not how everyone operates, so it's how the world is. Blah, blah, blah. What am I going to eat today? I was thinking of making some macaroni with hamburger in it later. Yeah, birdies. These are not any specific type of bird, just birds catching fish. These birds have sort of made their home on the grassy moss or whatever that's growing. Oh no, it looks more like just grass, but that's growing on like the top of these ancient machinery that's stuck in the ocean here. No idea what the machine does, but it's doing something. Or it's long since stopped functioning and is just like garbage out there now, but make use of what's there. Things can live anywhere if they're determined enough. You know, when Amphibia was going on, I was going back and forth on whether or not the technological ruins of that world would actually, like, be important at all for the story in Season 2. It was pretty nice to see that they did end up serving a function. There was a lot of Miyazaki quality to that whole, like, lore of the hyper-advanced ruins and stuff there to me. And King Andrias pretty much just goes full Laputa at the end of Season 2. Like, the floating castle with the death weapon and everything. That is, like, straight out of Laputa. Well, it'd be nice if we had more stuff. In a perfect world, Disney would just have Amphibia be allowed to keep going. And we get all sorts of stories, both of the past and of the future and stuff, and everything would be all nice. We would finally get the most wasted opportunity of a story arc where Loggle would meet Teddy Lumpkins. And the series would finally truly be complete. But alas, we are stuck in a world where they just fund the next Marvel and Star Wars movie instead. But, nah. After enough years, that's all you can really expect out of the House of Mouse. All depends on who's in charge at the time and what the charts are telling them at the time. I know there's that new Kif show that just started airing, but it looks to be... does not look as investing to me as Amphibia or the Owl House or anything like that. Like, it felt like Gravity Falls was the start of that era. And everyone that worked on Gravity Falls, like, that whole team leads into that era of Disney of Gravity Falls, Star Forces of Evil, Owl House, and Amphibia. That's sort of what I consider that era of Disney. Although Molly McGee might count, because it's still sort of bleeding into that era, but it feels like it's transitioning out of that era at this point. Yeah, unfortunately, Disney is pretty much a soulless machine. It's just, it goes by the charts, and sometimes the charts tell them this person should be in charge, and that'll lead the inspiration for the decade, and over time that'll die out, but we get lucky again every so often, and a new era of good times starts. Everything is in a cycle. An endless, endless cycle. We are born into systems that are in place before we're here and are usually in place after we're gone. And a bit sloppy with the line work. I wish there was a way, like, a time that I knew of that everyone would be available for, like, interacting and stuff. Because it seems random when certain people get on, but as I do the streams and Discord and stuff more, it feels like I'm getting more of a sense of certain people's patterns, but with how my brain is now, it doesn't stick in my head. So, some people's patterns I have a vague understanding of, and others it's just, oh, they're just here now, and now they're gone. Oh well. What do I have to work on right now? I will have to... I wish I had a snack here. Yeah, with the clouds, I don't have to be too precise with the black. Because it's just gonna show up as, like, the white space in a black void either way. It's not like following the guide to the letter for the clouds is the same as doing it for characters. And it's going to stop being nighttime by the end of the comic. As the fight goes on with Doko and the Claw, I planned for it to transition into morning. Previous comic started in the daytime and ends at night. And this comic starts at night and ends in the morning. It is just one long night of fighting, is all that these two, this and the previous comic, are. which is kind of how it is in Dragon Ball in the manga. In the show, they have it so that the tournaments take place over the course of a few days. But other than like the 23rd Budokai, I think, where they do, I think, have it all in one day. But for the show of Dragon Ball, the Ten Shinhan and Jackie Chun tournaments, they're a few days long in the show, but in the manga, it's all just one day. Making it multiple days gives more, like, time for more scenes to happen, I guess. And there's filler and stuff. Although I generally like some of the filler in the tournament stuff, like Giron at the milk bar, Goku and the Crane Master, like, trying to sneak in on them during the night and stuff. Got a few Dragon Ball Gashapons out here, which are like those little figures that you can buy in vending machines. They're really garbage in America, but in Japan they do amazing ones that like look exactly like how the characters look on shows and stuff, and very high quality compared to American ones. Oh yeah, bad filler is bad. But good filler can sometimes be better than the original material to me, because like, the Saiyan Saga does not feel as good to me without seeing Gohan training in the wild and everything. When it's just filler that's like reaction shots of everyone just going, "Oh my god, I can't believe that worked. He is so powerful, blah 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 blah." I can't stand that garbage. Like, and all the flashbacks they do and stuff, that can go to hell. But like, ones that are actual legitimate adventures are great, usually. Because it's like the team that's been making the show, so they know how to make an adventure. Oh, I've got plenty of Gashapons here. There was a phase back in Iowa where I was just collecting all sorts of Dragon Ball ones, and I got one of my favorites is like Goku and the pirate robot fighting underwater. And I have one of Goten riding a dragon and eating a steam bun on it. I think I have one of the tournament announcer. I got one of Kid Buu. Got one of, well, it's not a Gashapon, I don't think. It's a diorama piece, but it's like of Mr. Satan giving Fat Buu a bath, which just looks adorable. Oh yes, 5 minutes is all I need to destroy you. Question, what? Do you know what a minute is? What? Yeah, because I don't think you do. That, Dragon Ball Z Abridged can be a bit eye-rolling at times, but when it is funny, it knows how to be funny. Because it knows how to make the jokes that the fans of the series would get. Yeah, there was one figure I was trying to get at one point, which was of the pirate robot, But they ended up sending me the wrong thing. It was like the cover where Goku's riding on the back of that dinosaur and he's holding a spear and stuff. I didn't, like, ever get the Pirate Robot one, but I didn't send that one, like, the dinosaur one back, because either way it looked cool, so I just kept it. Yeah, if I had the money, I'd buy all sorts of figures all the time. There's all sorts of third-party Transformer figures I would love to get. But I do not have the money for that, so that's all Jobby the Hong's territory there. I don't know what it is, but Hasbro never seems to be able to make, like, a really good Starscream, like, high-class figure. Even the Masterpiece ones are not comparable to the third-party ones. The third-party ones are, like, godly when it comes to Starscream a lot of times. They work absolute magic on him. Did I? No. I wanted an Optimal Optimus from Beast Wars third party, but again, too expensive. Because I like the original Optimal Optimus figure, but it is still just a Hasbro toy from the 90s. It's not like anything special. It's special, but it's not as good as you'd want it to be for that character. Now, Starscream always ends up getting the short end of the stick. I am so thankful I was able to get, like, the third-party Unicron figure. Like, I remember that thing was announced, and I was waiting for so long, and then it got canceled because Hasbro was doing their Ultimate Unicron figure that's nowhere near as good, but it ended up, like, getting stopped because of that. And so I thought it was over. And then I saw, a few months later, Jobby, he came out with a review of that third-party figure. So I was like, wait, what the fuck? And I look, and they actually ended up finishing it. And so I just got on there. I didn't care how much it cost. I got it. Because it's like, well, I don't know if this will ever, like, be available again. So I'm getting it. And I just purchased it, and it is the pride and joy of anything, like any figure I have ever gotten. Hasbro's always been cheap. They are, like, they're fun, and they can do some impressive stuff when they want to. But that does not happen often. Like, of the two main toy companies from, like, the 90s, if it was Hasbro or Bandai, I would always go with Bandai. Like, if it's Hasbro, I expect it to fall apart within, like, a few years of playing with it. If not months at times. But with Bandai, they always seem to be a lot more quality. Now with Takara, I trust Takara more than Hasbro, even if they're, like, working together all the time. Yeah. Take a sip of tea. Oh, Animated's line was amazing. Like, they were able to do such cartoony, expressive figures, and at the same time, have them transform completely accurately, usually. Which is probably due to the animated team, because they clearly just loved the franchise and were making designs and stuff that would work with the toys. Like, that whole part of the franchise is just golden. Yeah, with Takara and Hasbro, it always felt to me like Takara were the real creative ones, and Hasbro were the guys that were seeing what would come out, so that they could jump on and make some money from it. Yeah, I've still got most of my animated ones. I've got, obviously Bumblebee. I have never... I don't think I've ever gotten any figure of Optimus Prime, ever. So I don't have him. I don't think I've gotten Megatron from any series either, so I don't have him. But I got Bumblebee, I got Blitzwing, which was a bitch to find when that was out. Like, I think my dad finally, like, I had been going on and on about how I can't find the figure, and my dad, I think he was the one that finally found it at, like, Toys R Us or something. I have the Cybertron form of Ratchet from, like, the Great War. I have Lockdown, Black Arachnia, Wreck-Gar, I have him. Who all do I have? I don't think I have Rodimus. I have Oil Slick, I remember that. I still have, like, all the boxes and stuff for the characters. I think they might be in the storage unit, though, because Grandma was going on when I got to Ohio about how you can't have this stuff in the house. So, I think they're in the storage unit. And because it's me, I never get rid of anything, so I have all the stuff I have gotten over the years. I did want the minifigures of, like, Fanzone, Sorry, and Isaac Sumdac, but I think you could only get those at a convention. Oh, right, I think... No... I was trying to remember... I think it's only if you got the Earth form of Ratchet, he comes with the EMP. And if you have Lockdown's toy, you can take the EMP, like, cannon off of Ratchet's arm and put it on the Lockdown one, which was always really cool to me. I remember Lockdown also has one of those old rub, like, you rub the symbol and it's black normally, but when you rub it, it turns a certain color. And, like, he has that for his Autobot symbol. And they have that in the show, actually. I noticed that when they were, like, airing the episodes, like, he has his image of the symbol blacked out, which was, like, an obvious reference to those, like, thermal rubbing symbols. Comic shops are always a great place to go. It's so nice seeing all the stuff you can pick up from over the decades at those. Yeah, unfortunately for Transformers Animated, they didn't want the toy line competing with the obviously infinitely superior Return or Revenge of the Fallen toy line, so that show had to end so their toys wouldn't be on the shelf to compete with the Revenge of the Fallen, the greatest movie ever created. I do legitimately like the secret agent from those movies. He is the highlight of those to me. Okay, focus, facts, story, tell it. Yeah, I don't think I've come across much of anybody that likes Revenge of the Fallen. Yeah, that character, the secret agent guy, he's actually part of my Transformers stuff. And Sector 7 was around, like, before the series begins, and by the time the series has started, there's, like, references to it, but it is a completely defunct organization by that point. Fanzone and Fowler were a part of it back when they were younger, but at the point that the series begins, the Bayverse secret agent man is the only one that he's like still working as like the only member of it by that point, since the government stopped funding it and stuff. Oh, you don't like the ice cream truck twins that are potential racist homages? I can't imagine why. I'm sure they go over well with Jar Jar Binks fans. Yes. Yeah, they were not the best. They were like the Wheelie child appeal laugh-at character, but if Wheelie was like completely offensive to everything. The secret agent guy is one of the only characters that actually is able to hurt Sideways at all at any point. He actually does damage to Sideways. Can't remember if the secret agent survives the entire series or not, though. Once you go up against Sideways, you get into some pretty lethal stuff. Swindle ends up getting killed from that. But Swindle's working with the Vox, so he knows what he signed on for. Well, the Bayverse is pretty much the best version of every character. So, they obviously know what they're doing. I am going to get up to see if there is anything to eat. So I will be back in a minute. And I hope you enjoy the, I guess, European sounding music. Ow, ow. Okay, here we are. I got a Pop-Tart. Alright, back to work. Back to coloring a sky. The endless, endless sky. I wonder what Transformer movie they'll make next. I remember Digital Late, he posted in the Discord that Apparently Hasbro's making a movie to explain the origins of Autobots and Decepticons and how everything started, and how Transformers started. I'm not sure how you're gonna do that when literally every single version has a different origin to it. But I imagine it'll probably just be the Primus Unicron stuff and skipping details to present the Autobots and Decepticons as having always been the ones that are the race of Transformers. In my stuff, Unicron and Primus were created at the beginning of time by the One. And then, well, they were split into Unicron and Primus to preserve the balance of the universe, order and chaos, and blah 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 blah. Primus traps them both in different planets, and over time, Unicron makes his planet into his new body. Primus tries to understand creatures by modifying life and incorporates mechanical aspects into it because it's easier than making like organic life. But over time, the cyborg life forms always drift away from his connection because of the independence that organic life entails. And Primus is just always trying to understand that, which is part of the reasoning for why the race that he makes forms. It is so good to have something to eat while I work. Alright. I still have those corn nuts here that I choke on sometimes. I don't want those. Yeah, that GoBot one has been around for a while, I think. I do know in some universes, Primus is like Gobatron or whatever instead of Cybertron. Really, it's just painfully shoving in elements to incorporate Transformers into things. You know, when I try to put Hasbro properties into my Transformer stuff, I always try to do it in ways that, like, present them more as how they originally are. Like, if you know Stretch Armstrong and Vac-Man, Hasbro owns that now, so in the Transformers world that I make stuff up of, Vac-Man and Stretch Armstrong are like a superhero and supervillain of a city in the Transformers stuff that I do. And I do it sort of... It's supposed to feel like how it is in the old 90s commercial of those characters, where there's like classic bank robbers with like eye masks and the striped prison outfit and everything. And then there's the part where the Autobots just end up flat out going to the, what's it called? The thing that Transformers mainly came from. Warogers are the villains. Diaclone, that's it. Yeah, they just end up going to the Diaclone universe. Oh, no, Stretch Armstrong isn't bad. I mean, Vac-Man is like his villain. So, you have him as a superhero that he always is, and then Vac-Man as the bad guy. And then there's, like, Wretch Armstrong and stuff, and the Stretch Monster, and all those guys. They're all part of the, like, city that Stretch is, like, the hero of in that Transformers stuff. Vac-Man is like the big villain though, because he was like the special toy. Yeah, there's a part where like Bumblebee ends up infiltrating I forget what all happens, but they get involved in, like, something in that city. Bumblebee infiltrates this facility, and it turns out that it's Vac-Man's lair that he broke into. And Bumblebee thinks it's just going to be, like, simple to, like, get past whatever's in there, but then he, like, recognizes Vac-Man as, like, the warlord from the Vac planet, which is, like, where all the Vac-Man stuff came from in the toys. And so he ends up just getting thrown into the wall and captured. Sorry and Bulkhead have to try and save Bumblebee there. And Stretch Armstrong would probably come in at the end to face off against Vac-Man while they're dealing with all that. But yeah, there's all sorts of stuff in that Transformer world I made up. There's the Moonflowers from Hanazuki. There's the Micronauts, I think they were. There's the property that was like I think it was like Ancient Knights, but they were from a different world, but they followed Merlin at some point, and they had like pictures of animals that would appear on the chest of their armor, and I think they could turn into those animals or something. I forget what they're called, but they're in there too and stuff. They're on their own planet somewhere. By the Maximal Predacon time period, a lot of the different like properties from different worlds have come together as like a united galactic alliance and stuff. They end up having to intervene during the finale of the Beast era to like help out when Beast Megatron has subjugated Cybertron and stuff. One of the most upbeat tracks from Mega Man X. I want to be done drawing the sky. I'm tired of the sky. Yeah, this is one of the more popular tracks from Mega Man. Very, very fun to listen to. It is also the level where you can get the secrets. Oh, whoa. The secret special upgrade, which is the Hadouken from Street Fighter. It kills any boss in the game in one hit. So it is not a normal upgrade. It's just the Easter egg upgrade. Yeah. Nice warm pastry. Yeah, I'm not sure what all the structures are in the distance here. A lot of them are buildings, but some of them are like the ancient mechanical ruins, like this, that. These back here are just buildings and stuff that are on the other islands. Not sure what this building here is, though, if it's a building or if it's part of the ruins. Looks like it has a cannon thing on top, but I was just trying to come up with things to put in the background there at that point. Oh, and here's the birds that are, like, up here. I remember, what weapon was it? Yeah, if you had a certain weapon with you at this point in Mega Man X, you could use it on the boss and it would knock his armor off for the whole match. Yeah, backgrounds can be a bit tricky at times. I've had to pay more attention to them over the years. It helps make the scenes look better when it's like something interesting to have in the background. But at times it's more impactful to just have like a panel of the character or something instead. Or just have the panel completely black for the background. Oh. Well, I hope you have a good time at work. I guess before you go, here is what the page looks like. Here you go. Well, I hope you have fun and enjoy the day. I'll just be finishing up work on this. Hello, Daniel. How are you doing? One of you goes and one of you comes. I'm catching Shadow just as he's leaving for work. Got some armored armadillo from Mega Man X playing in the background here. Me and Shadow were just chit-chatting about some Transformers earlier and stuff. How is Lola doing? Got all sorts you always seem to have something happening with you these days. Oh, what time is it where you are, Bowyer? It's 2:30 over here. I am currently eating a Pop-Tart. Yeah, I was pretty hungry, so I got up for a minute a little while ago to find something to munch on while I worked. Oh, wow. Well, I'm happy that I was streaming while you were still awake then. It's always hard to keep track of what time everyone goes by. Having people all around the planet. At least we don't have anyone on Mars or anything that's watching. That time frame would get all skewed up. At least, not that I know of that's watching from Mars. For all I do know, we could have some aliens, but they have not felt fit to comment yet, so I'm going to assume we don't. And that's the end of the Pop-Tart. You know, we just have the claw here looking out over the horizon, commenting vaguely on things. He's sorta just talking to himself. He hasn't said too much yet in the comic, but we still got a number of years to go. He will have his time, I'm sure. Let's see. And I think I'm finally done with the sky. Yeah, that was not fun. It's easy, but it takes forever. I'm so glad I'm not crouched over in my room anymore on the computer. I can actually have the stuff out here on the table now in a proper workspace. My body has felt better since moving it out here. Let us change the music to something else. Back to Bomberman. Yeah, when you first said that you were looking after Lola today, I was thinking, why is Ballier looking after Lola Bunny? Well, that's earlier on Twitter there was like a poll for what the best Lola Bunny was. And I just put the one from like 2011 from the Looney Tunes show. Where she's just like completely like certifiably insane and stuff. Yeah, I'm almost done with the blacks on this page. Just got the last little bit of the claw here. I have been going for 2 hours now. Not as long as some days, but longer than others. Yeah, I figured it was the dog. It's just when you said Lola, the first thing that popped into my head was the Looney Tunes character that had the name. Ow, ow, ow. Yeah, the Claw is not a character I can say too much about compared to the others. He's not had as much time to be shown in full to the audience yet. Mostly the last two comics have just been showing him, well, the first two battles in the tournament with him, pretty much just him tossing the people out. And then the Hawkers battle was pretty much off screen. So, yeah, not as much material to work with commentary-wise for him yet. Unless I want to get into, like, spoiler territory, but I don't wanna, so can't say too much in that regard. So the chat just became about talking about Transformers and Dragon Ball pretty much for the last hour. Oh, I have the eraser on. I am yawning. I got some documents I need to copy after this for the grandma's lawyer. At least I think I do. I copied one earlier. I'm not sure about what else. Oh, the discussion? Well, for Transformers, it was just talking about random things. all the animated toys me and Shadow had. I still have. Let's see. Talking about third-party Starscream figures, third-party Unicron figure I have. How they're making a origin movie of Transformers apparently now. And then stuff from my version of Transformers. Was talking about Stretch Armstrong and Vacman's role in it, pretty much. And the secret agent from the Michael Bay films, his role in it. That was about it for Transformers, I think. For Dragon Ball was just stuff in general. Some of the differences in the tournaments in the show version of Dragon Ball and the comic version. They weren't big differences, but I was like talking about how this comic and the previous comic I've been doing is basically just this one. The previous one started in the day and ends at night, and this one starts at night and it'll end in the morning. So it's like a whole day is the last two comics. And I was mentioning how in the anime of Dragon Ball, it's a few days that the tournaments, other than the 23rd, are. In the comic, it's just a day. They do all the matches in one day in the comic. But having it be a few days gives, like, more time for scenes, and there's also filler that they add in and stuff. That type of thing. People seem to use the word filler pretty, not what I would use the term for these days. Like, when talking about cartoons in America having filler, like, that is not a thing. That's just the show. Like, filler is when they adapt something and add in stuff between the, like, original material, just simply to pad the length, like, the time of the show out. And that's typically not what people are talking about, I feel like, when they say filler for American shows. Yeah, but it's sort of become the slang for everything that people watching a show, whatever they don't think should be there for the quote-unquote core story of the show, which is just a very weird way of thinking to me about a show. Like, the whole show is just the show, is all. Like, you can have moments of the characters, like, doing stuff not pertaining to an ongoing plot thread. It doesn't mean that it's, like, unacceptable, whatever. That's how certain mentalities are. I just realized I didn't fill this in. Oh, or do the shadow down there. Okay, I'll get that. Kidding. I love Bomberman 64's soundtrack, which admittedly is not a lot of tunes, but it's good for what they have. Okay, get that filled in. this filled in. There we go. There we go. And switch over to this. Okay. Alright. And now we zoom in to 200 so that we can see all the white lines to cover up. You can see the white lines when you're further away, but you don't know if you're getting all of them unless you're really close up. There we go. Fill in the door here. It is the song that goes on forever. No, I wouldn't say that that's what filler is. That's just sort of a side story is all. Although, to be fair, you don't really know what a main story is until the full thing is told. There are elements from any episode that could be part of the overarching plot. You just need to wait to see until the very end what the whole plot turns out to be. Because, like, let's see, like, say... What was that? Oh, okay. Say, Amphibia. Like, there are things that could be seen as side stories there. But by the final season, literally everything from, like, most episodes, no matter how side story they felt like, ended up being, like, relevant to the main plot by the end. So it's all just, to me, it's all just, unless it's filler that's being added from something that's being adapted and that's not part of the original material. Unless it's that, all stories, no matter how side or main they feel like, could potentially be main story stuff. You just have to watch until the end to see if they are. Of course, in Japan, the term for, like, side story would be gaiden, which is what they use to refer to games that are not, like, that they do not plan to, like, be part of. Sometimes it'll be like an alternate universe, or sometimes gaiden could mean just a small game that's not, like, anything that will affect anything in the long run, that's not intended to, really. Like, Metal Gear Ghost Babel is a gaiden. Resident Evil Gaiden, obviously, is a gaiden. Originally, Resident Evil 3, well, what became Resident Evil 3, could have been seen as a gaiden, but they ended up putting a main number on that so that they'd have a trilogy for the PlayStation 1. Well, I think a lot of what the term filler is, well, technically for any term, it comes down to what the person using the term feels like it means. It's like you get into the remake, remaster, whatever debates, and that's like, at a point, things will be remasters, but if too much work is done on them, they could be considered remakes. And it all, when you get into that territory, it gets into more of what the individual thinks the thing is. And it's always a bit of a gray, muddy area when it comes to how terms are used. Growing up, filler to me was always stuff that was just put into adaptations to make them longer, so that the person creating the original material could stay ahead of the people making the show versions of those material, so that the people making the show would not start making stuff up that would contradict the original material, since they didn't have an idea of what would come later on. Made Dragon Ball very, very insufferable to watch at times. Could not stand those episodes that were just like flashbacks over and over and over again. That was so damn boring. Yeah. I have had what feels like a small lump in my throat the past few days. I need to sometimes tilt my head to swallow better. It's not so much of a blockage that it's caused making it impossible to do things, but it feels like something that is there, so I tilt my head at times to allow things to pass better. Got the little birdies here flying into the night. Yeah, I'm probably gonna make some macaroni with hamburger later. I hope it's an Adam's apple. It'd be pretty bad if it were something else. After everything I saw Grandma go through. But I am talking and stuff, and it seems to be normal, so it's probably nothing. I'll probably have a bit of a raspy voice after this, though, with how much I do talk on the streams. But that is the sacrifice you make for content. Endless, endless drawing. Do you regret making the sky be completely black this page, Edward? No, not really. I just regret how much I have to do to make it completely black. What message of advice do you have for your audience? No, don't make a black sky. It takes forever to fill in. Thank you, Ed. No problem. Be sure to rate, comment, and we are moving away from Edward. And throughout my life, I have been a pretty quiet person. Anyone that knows me could probably tell you that, though if you only saw my videos, you probably would not think that. But, yeah, in real life, I do not talk all that much. When it comes to videos, they're sort of how you get to see the real me, because I do not show how I am in public. My interests and the conversations are of a more private type due to my more shy personality when I was younger. So, but when I do my videos, I don't have anyone physically in front of me to react to and that my brain is judging the reactions of. So I am free to operate and perform without any restrictions. Yeah, you're never gonna get me to be the one interrupting a crowd of people. That just simply does not happen. I do not have that type of presence. Which did make it impactful when I spoke out, like at work and stuff, because people I worked with knew that I never talk really, so when I do talk, it's like important stuff. And they'd all just sorta go quiet and listen. Oh wow. Well, I talked before 6, but not too much. From what Mom told me, I think it was Mom, she said, like, I never cried when I was little. Yeah, I've always been the type that just sort of observes things, takes notes in my head, and then filters those through my brain and recombines it into things to produce what I create. That is how the human mind works. Now I can feel the hunger again. I will get to food eventually, but for now I have work. Yeah, for me the world, like the physical, real world, is just too boring, usually. So I'm always in my thoughts. I have a feeling that people who create would probably do things that pertain to, like, real-world events and stuff more if the world were more interesting. But it generally isn't to me. It's just sort of a place that you get up and people are babbling about politics and garbage like that. Yeah, that's about it. So I'm gonna draw and make something that is something I would want to be a part of. Unfortunately, what I want to be a part of right now is taking forever to edit. I hate all these white lines I have to go back over after the blackening process. Oh, we are at 2 hours and 30 minutes. Still going. I'm not sure who all watches these, but I hope you are having a good enough time listening to my voice and watching the endless drawing that goes on. I guess if anyone watches this afterwards, there is a Discord you can join, which is in the description. I'm usually on there, as are the people that are on chat here a lot of times. Please let me be done with this part of the sky. Getting so tired of it. There was these Let's Players I watched that the, like, idiots that make these Mario Party Let's Plays and yell at each other and stuff. They had a song made about them recently that I was wanting to animate. Like, it goes over, like, each person and stuff. I was wanting to, like, animate their avatars, like, interacting to it, and sort of like an intro for them. It's a pretty hilarious song if you know who they are. Party Crashers. Vernius, King of Skill, Sophist Eevee, and TC3 Nick. They are just a bunch of morons. Funny, but just these dolts that always get into it over Mario Party and stuff. Of course, I want to animate everything, so that's nothing new. I'm just happy I'm almost done with the Invader Zim animation finally. Just gotta color a bit more and then make the backgrounds. And then line it all up and I guess edit it a bit. And it should be all set and ready to go. Get to see Dib and Gaz and Zim just in an interview together, acting like normal people. For other shows, probably would not be that big of a deal, but for Zim, it's a bit uncanny to see those characters just having normal conversations. Yeah, the claw. To be fair, his the claws are kind of shaped more like pickaxe type things. They're not like really grab you or anything kind of claws. They're just sort of blades that hang off where his hands should be. Which I have always wondered. I've always had trouble trying to figure out how he, like, does certain things without, like, fingers. But at the same time, it's just more of a comedic thing to think about. Yeah, that. Oh, no. I hope I'm getting towards the end here. I feel like I should be. Okay, nothing above that. Alright, oh, wait. First off, there we go. And now, let's fill in this tiny space where the sky would be. Gotta make sure you get every little spot. There we go. Okay. Next panel. Alright. Here he is from the front. The man, the myth, the legend. Yeah, Claw's just wandering around the fairgrounds in the break before the final match. He doesn't really have anyone he hangs out with or anything, so he's just kind of by himself. What's that? Oh, it's a candy wrapper. Oh. Riveting commentary, I know. I heard that Jaden lives in California. She's roommates with Alpharad now. I don't normally stay up to date on, like, the celebrities or anything. I just know people like, well, people like her is just, oh, they're an animator. there's someone that has fun on YouTube. Yeah, it's best not to think about how the claw operates in daily life and stuff. Just gotta accept the coolness factor and keep moving on. Yeah, Jaden Animations. Yeah, she's always someone that's pretty fun to watch to me, but I just think of her as like a fun little cartoonist person. I know she's taken down a few videos over the years. I think I have all of them, I think, but you can't find them on YouTube anymore. Me and my preservation of everything. I finally got all of the videos of my old friend Skull Kid 3 onto my computer. After years and years of going back and forth to his, like, channel to collect all the videos. They've not been on YouTube for, like, I think 6 years now. So it's just sort of a personal, they were my friend, I want to keep their stuff and all that. I'm just always surprised with Jaden how fast she can make her videos. The amount of animation that they do, I know they couldn't get done, like, in that amount of time with just her making the videos. It is nice that she has been able to have a team to help her out. Yeah, she said happy birthday to me in one of the streams she was doing last year when I mentioned where I went for my birthday. It is near impossible to get someone that is popular to see what you've written in chat on a stream, with how many people are there. In the Doug to Maple chats, the old streams he did of his comic making, it was a lot easier to get his attention, but at the same time, his problem was that he would just ramble about whatever and hardly look at the screen because he was deep in work. So it was sort of a toss-up as to whether or not he'd even check messages at times. Okay. Am I done? Do I have to draw any more lines in here? Please, God, let it be over. Oh, there's the mouse. Okay. Okay. now Doka and his buddies are just stuck in their own reality. In the future, though, we'll be seeing some more. Who knows, maybe that idea of yours will be a quote-unquote Gaiden at some point. Dreamscape Gaiden. The Valier stories. Just going back in and making sure all the lines are fully filling everything out. Needs to be black. I do so much work that I probably don't need to do, but gotta make things look good. Well, that'd be an interesting variant of the claw. Hey, that's good, that's good. I need to fill this in. Completely missed this area. Now that I think about it, Resident Evil Gaiden and Metal Gear Ghost Babel, which is the Gaiden for that game, they're both on the Game Boy Color. It seemed to be the system to make the Gaidens for. Metal Gear Ghost Babel is ridiculously expensive. But it's a Metal Gear game that's more obscure, so obviously that'll happen. Metal Gear. I have thought of Let's Playing that game at some point, the Ghost Babel, but I have never played all the way through it, and I don't know how to record it, so that hasn't ever happened. I always saw that game as a way that they could continue Metal Gear after the Solid games were done, is make sequels to Gaiden, since it is an alternate timeline. But they just prefer to keep making Solid games that just act as references to each other and destroy the story of the series. This is all looking good. Okay. Oh yeah, the internet has been incredible. Once I moved everything out here into the living room, what I did was I hooked up an Ethernet cable directly to the modem from the computer. So there is no wireless connection, it's directly connected now. So I've only had maybe 2 disconnects at all ever since I connected to it that way, and neither of those have been on stream, and when they've happened, they've only happened for a few seconds. So, it's looking like this stability is the future of our streams, which I am so thankful for. Could not stand that garbage before. Just, oh, I guess I'm done streaming. I can't do anything. Sigh. Whereas now it's, oh, I guess I'm streaming. I guess I can do stuff. Hooray. Except a more excited hooray than that. Have the little fishy shadows in the water. This is the first page of the 2 comics ago when Doko and his friends first get to the island, Tataki Fight Island. You can see all the shadows of the fish underneath like their boat and stuff. I'm sort of doing that here again. There's like one gigantic fish underneath everything when you look at that scene on the boat. Here though, it's just small fishies, or normal sized ones. Oh, I'd love to do a Let's Play, but the recording software only seems to want to record this GIMP, like this paint program. So I've not been able to figure out how to record anything else other than these drawing videos, which is kind of annoying. But at the same time, the drawing stuff is what I do the most, so it is the most important, probably, at least. It's probably just some simple thing that I haven't figured out yet, is all. Let's see here. Okay. Dashboard. Yeah, I used to do Let's Plays years ago on my channel. They were absolute garbage, but I would record them by setting up a handheld camera on a bunch of bricks or on a stack of books and point it at the TV as I played the game and talk loud enough that the camera would hear me. I think the Resident Evil remake or Kirby the Crystal Shard Let's Plays were probably the best ones I did. Though any video I do is probably embarrassing to me to look at. Although ever since I started doing the review videos a few years back with like Earthworm Jim, Bionicle, and Dragon Ball, those have been pretty good to me. They are certainly what I would recommend people watch out of the stuff I've made. Other than like just pure animation videos I've done. Like the Resident Evil 2 animation and the Centipede animation. Looking a bit better. I'd be animating non-stop. Whatever comes into my head just automatically gets put into animation. I would love to have that ability. Not have to do all the endless hours of work to get it to happen. Come on. Come on. Work with me, Claw. Come on. There we go. Gotta make sure you're presentable for the audience. Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Here we go. Cyborg people. I guess that'll work. I think Console Wars has... Oh, they should be doing the episode right now, I think. Console Wars is doing their 100th episode today, which I am probably gonna watch when I'm eating. I've always watched those guys. They feel kind of like a less obscene version of how the angry video game nerd would do stuff, but still dipping into that territory. Okay, I think... Oh, let me check up here. Okay. Okay. Alright. Got that. All set. Okay, I think I'm done with the blacks, finally. Now we put in all the stars. All the stars in the night sky. Starlight, starbright, first star I see tonight. I wish I may, I wish I might. something star, you shine so bright. And the big sky. Got stars of all sizes all dotted all over this. Way too big. Way too big. Okay. Today is the second 2-year anniversary of when I put up all the animation frames that I made of Alex Kid, which was the mascot that Sega had before they had Sonic the Hedgehog. Sort of this elf-eared kid. Had a red suit. I was trying to reanimate, like, a lot of times I want to animate old games to make them look good, redraw the frames, add more frames, and make the animation smooth. And Alex Kid was one of those games. But then, like, I got in the jumping, the running, and I think the crawling and stuff done, and then I saw that they had finally made a remake of it. So that kind of made my attempt obsolete, so I just stopped doing it. And decided to put up all the animations I had done of it on DeviantArt, I think. I think I put it up there. Yeah, it's the 2-year anniversary of when I put that up. Saw that on Facebook today. Star, star, star. I was going to, instead of like the moon back here, I was going to put something else up, but I ended up just doing the moon in the end. There's a structure that orbits the Earth in the comics, and I was gonna have the claw looking into the distance and it would be noticeable, but I think I just felt it worked better with the moon instead. Yeah, the thing that orbits the Earth isn't something that anyone can reach, but it's something left over from our time period. Okay, now, let us do the moon. Fade in, fade out. Drag all the black to the moon. Hopefully this works. Oh. I guess it is auto-playing the next music track in the folder. Okay, how do I do this? Quality, no. Hardness, size, opacity? Okay. Trying to get the moon to work. Yeah, because what I did was a physical fade out of the moon. You can see, okay, it goes up to there. Okay. If anyone wishes to see those old garbage Let's Plays I did, most of them are still here on YouTube if you go back far enough in the timeline of the videos I've made. I wouldn't recommend most of them, but they're there if you want them. I know I certainly enjoy videos of creators that are older that they do not necessarily care for, but they've thankfully kept around for the amusement of those that like them. Okay. Is that alright? I think that's okay. Oh, nope. Switch it to blank. Okay. There we go. Huh. Okay. I think I'm good. Make that less dark there. Alright. Okay. I think I'm pretty much done. Yeah, I think that's alright. So, here is how the page turned out. I'm just going to do a few more edits after this, but that'll be on my own time, off screen. We got the claw up here. He's walking along. And, he's just looking around, seeing, commenting on things. He talks about how he's looking around and sees all the stuff that's around. And he has to wonder, did you achieve your goals, or did it blow up in your face? Or are those machinations of yours still in play somehow? And who he's talking about, the audience has no idea. But, just some foreboding or ominous talkings from the mysterious character is all. Yeah, I guess that's gonna be it for this page. I'll make a few more edits off screen, and then I'll be putting this up. So, I hope whoever saw this enjoyed it. Sorry for the long lapses in talking at parts, but it was nice chit-chatting with Shadow the Cartoonist and Daniel Ballier. I hope you both have a great day, and I'll probably talk to you guys on Discord later on today. And for anyone else that wants to stop by, feel free to click the link, and we'll see you there. I guess, bye-bye for now? Yeah, bye for now.